Yo, what is going on? PartTimerZack here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about punishing gray ravens. So I wanted to talk about summoning as well as the S selector and kind of what is important in order to get going when global actually launches. But before we go ahead and jump into that, make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you guys are enjoying the content, as well as subbing to the channel if you guys are new. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. Alrighty, first and foremost, I want to talk about summoning because it is pretty important when it comes to selecting your S. I'm just going to briefly talk about the currencies. We're not going to dive too much into this. If you want to see a full-fledged video on that, make sure to let me know. So anyway, black cards, this is going to be essentially your universal kind of premium currency. So you're going to be able to convert this to any other ticket type. So you want to hold on to this as much as humanly possible, because it is becoming like, it becomes a little bit more rare as you go through the story. There are ways to grind it, but I think it's like 30 per level. And so it kind of becomes a little bit more scarce towards the end game. So make sure to hold on to this as much as possible, because if we jump into this beginner banner, you can actually see that they use blue cards. So these blue cards actually are able, you can kind of get them from different ways, events, some different things like that. Whenever you hit level 10, I think you get 2,500, and then at level 50, you get another 2,500. So you do get a couple of multis as you kind of level up. And then there's other various ways to get them through events, through leveling up, through, you know, different things that you kind of grind through the story. But overall, this is what you're going to kind of use it on, is you're going to come in here and you're going to essentially pull for 40. This is going to give you a guaranteed S. So why this is important is because you can actually come in here and do these 40 once you grind up a little bit, and do that before you actually do your S select. So you're able to get a guaranteed S star from this actual pull, and then kind of see where you're at there and evaluate that, then go back and select the S that you want. So if you do it the other way around, you kind of risk going into some dupes. And while dupes aren't completely useless in this game, you want to kind of help yourself a little bit more by having, you know, 2 S's instead of 2 of the same S's. So I recommend kind of going in here and grinding a little bit in order to get these first 40 pulls before you even select your S. Now we can talk about re-rolling, but I think we'll do that once we get a little bit closer to the actual launch, because that's going to be a little bit more prevalent then. But I just want to make sure you guys understood that you actually am able to get a guaranteed S off of these rolls. And then really quickly, just running through these are actually weapon drops that you can actually select for. So whatever weapon you're kind of looking for, you get a higher chance of getting them. As you can see, they use a different currency, and you're able to use premium currency for that, as well as there's a couple ways to grind for these as well. A little bit similar to the blue tickets there, but they are a little bit harder to come by from what I've understood. And so that's why the black card actually plays a little bit more importance. And then just for the last party here, there's actually a couple different banners. As you can see, premium banners essentially, where you can go in and you can select whatever S you want, and it just has a higher rate of dropping. And again, this uses a different currency. So now you can kind of see why these black cards are actually becoming a little bit more important, because you have to use the black cards in order to convert some of these currencies. So that's why it's kind of important to make sure to kind of hold on to them as much as you can, and just kind of grind the blue. If you're kind of looking to do, you know, this one, for example, you just kind of want to hold on to those blue cards as much as you can, and then just come in here and, you know, grind on this, and then hold your overall black cards as long as you can until you see something that really catches your eye. So real quickly, let's dive into these characters here and talk about who you should kind of pick. So I'm not going to be too biased, I suppose, because a lot of these units aren't necessarily bad in their own right. And honestly, you could kind of do anything you kind of want. They're all really good units, but some of them fall off a little faster than others. And some of them are, I wouldn't say replaceable, but they are kind of at the beginning anyway, not as important as some other ones. So we're just going to kind of run down the line here. This is Lee. So he's one of the units. He is fun to play. So I had the A variant of him on a different account. I was never able to play the S version of him, but he's really fun. He runs around he just does so much damage when it comes to range. His attacks are cool. He's like one of the coolest looking characters in my opinion. But the thing that kind of sucks about Lee, and the thing that kind of sucks about the chainsaw girl here, I can't necessarily remember her name. I think it starts with an M, but I can't remember. They kind of fall off in place of Alpha. So Alpha is one of those units that comes out about a month after the game launches. And so JP actually wants it released a month after she was able to be, you know, pulled for on a banner, and she just kind of blew all the attackers out of the water. And she's such a good unit and versatile, and just does a lot of stuff, especially for endgame, that it's almost like you have to kind of pull for her, because she's just that good. So the problem with picking somebody like Lee or even this chick is that they eventually fall off to Alpha. And if anything's right about this kind of global release, we're probably going to be seeing Alpha in probably September somewhere, a little bit after the game actually launches, about a month. And so anybody who got these two characters, Lee or her, are going to end up having kind of a regret. I assume, you know, buyer's remorse essentially, because you're going to be able to get Alpha, or if you're able to get lucky enough, I suppose. but then you're going to have these units that you kind of already got for the Selector and they kind of fell off already because she's such a good unit. So these ones, while they're really good, honestly, if you just don't trust your luck, I mean, Lee is such a good option. If you're just like, I have such bad luck and gotcha, maybe Lee's up your corner, but honestly, I would kind of put him back in comparison just because alpha does come out eventually, and that will kind of hinder your experience when you're playing the game when you know that there's such a better unit right off the bat. So the next one is Liv. So Liv is actually a really good healer. She is probably one of the top healers when it comes to end game and pretty much a must have. So the thing about it is it sounds all well and good and you're like, oh, well then I should just get Liv. Well, the thing is you actually get a free version of her for B at the beginning of the game. So even though she's not the best healer in comparison to her S variant, she is a good healer nonetheless, especially at the beginning game. You're really not going to be missing much when it comes to that, as the S version is really towards mid game going into that late game. And so you're not going to be missing much until the late game and the end game. And by then you're probably going to be in a place where you're able to kind of grind for some more currency. You're able to kind of do a little bit more rolls. And so that's why Liv is kind of one of those things where it's like, if you want to gear yourself and prepare yourself for end game, for healing and stuff like that, then she's definitely a good choice. I'm on the wrong one. She's definitely a good choice for that. But as I said, you can kind of get different variants of her because there is a B variant and A variant. And so that's kind of where it kind of falls off a little bit, obviously, because those other variants aren't as good, but they will definitely help you out when you start the game. And that's why Liv is kind of overkill essentially at the beginning. But if you're looking towards the end, she's definitely one that I would kind of pick up. So the next two I'm going to talk about is Cam and Karenina. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. So these are two tanks, and honestly, they are very good units when it comes to tanks. Tanks are one of those ones where if you pick them at the beginning, you're going to be really good off because you're going to be able to tank a lot of different damage and be able to go into bosses, and you're just going to be in a really good spot, especially when you first start. And honestly, if I had to pick between these two, I would go with Cam. I think Cam kind of goes further into the end game from all the research I've kind of seen about him, because obviously I haven't got into end game when it comes to the JP side, but from what I've done and all the research and gameplay and just all the stuff I've seen, Cam just seems to be the best choice overall when it comes to like just being a safe bet for, you know, mid and late game and just going into some different key aspects of the game. So obviously he's going to definitely help you out at the beginning because he is a tank. He's a little bit more versatile and he's not stuck to, you know, attack or healing. He's just going to be a little bit more better when it comes to some of the different things, because even though there are variants of him, obviously, as you go up here, I think this is the variant of him. As you can see, I don't see a B variant. I think this is an A variant of him. So you are going to have to get lucky on the banner pull in order to get him. And so I really feel like he's probably going to be the safe bet. And I know you've probably seen that from every video that you probably watch because he's just that good. So I honestly just think that, you know, if you want to go on the safe route, you just want to be geared up for the beginning, the middle, and the end. This is essentially what you're going to do. So you are going to lack a little bit on the healing side, a little bit if you don't go with somebody like Liv, and you might kind of suffer a little bit at the beginning with attack. Or if you don't get lucky on alpha, that's going to kind of suck. So it kind of just depends on what you kind of want to do. So like I said, Liv is definitely a good option if you're just wanting to gear for end game. You just don't really care about what's going on at the beginning. You'll figure it out. And you just really want to gear for a boss battle at the very end. And you just want that healer. Liv is going to help you out quite a lot, as well as Cam's going to help you out at the beginning towards mid. And then I think he falls off a little bit towards late game. But obviously, I think that he's overall just a really good unit and something to kind of start off with. So she's actually, I would say that she's kind of comparable to Cam at the beginning, but I think she falls off a little bit faster. So correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments for sure, if I'm a little bit wrong about that, because I'm not obviously in end game necessarily, but from the research that I've seen and some of the gameplay that I've seen around her. But from what I've seen, she does fall off a little bit towards mid game, whereas Cam kind of stays there and stays a little bit more consistent. So let me know down in the comments for the people who are veterans who have been playing this game on JP. Let me know how I kind of did on this, and I can reevaluate my opinions and stuff. But overall, I think Cam is probably the safest bet when it comes to just being, you know, right at the beginning, right at the mid, right at the end, and definitely go from different playstyles of that. So if you really just want a cool person to play, though, I mean, this is going to be my runner-up. Lee's definitely just going to be somebody I really like, and honestly, I feel like I would want him anyway, even if I was able to get alpha, because he's just a cool character. Like, if you were ever able to play him or you see his gameplay, you'll see how cool he is. So I just recommend at least checking out some of these characters' gameplay, because it is on their site and they're able to kind of see what some different aspects of them. So really just pick on what you kind of want to do, especially whenever it comes into some play styles and some of the different abilities that they have. So anyway, guys, if you want more of a definite character breakdown for each one of these characters, let me know. We can just highlight maybe each character in a video and kind of go over gameplay and their overall aesthetics of them. So let me know if you guys want to see that. So anyway, guys, I'm going to catch you in the next one. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.